Stellar Blade has been under constant attack by activists over the past few months, and of course, recently we saw the Graffiti controversy pop up where journalists had complained about what they deemed was racist messaging in the game, and then, of course, Sony censored it for them, and now we have outlets like the Mary Sue praising Sony's censorious ways, but also asking the question, how did it make its way into Stellar Blade in the first place? I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube memberships. Now, I'm sure you've already heard about the HardR controversy where there was the word hard on the wall in Graffiti, and then there was a little sign next to it that said R, and it, of course, sent these journos into a frenzy. They were calling ShiftUp a bunch of racists. They were saying, how dare they put messaging like this within the game? And we even saw some of these activists say, oh, well, it's no wonder why so many unsavory actors in the industry have been praising this game, even though we had no idea that that existed. And most people would look at it and not think of something like the N-word. But, of course, they are now praising Sony's censorious ways because Sony decided to, of course, change it after they complained. It says ShiftUp, the Korean developer behind Stellar Blade, left in a pretty insidiously racist message in their game. Most people did not look at it and think of racism. Most people did not look at it and go, oh my god, how could they do this? First of all, we are talking about Korean developers who probably didn't even know what hard R meant, but even if let's say somebody on the team did, it's not like they're spelling out the N-word. It's not like they're putting in some like actual messaging that clearly a racist person would put in a game. No, it just seems like it happened to get put there because graffiti, the word hard in graffiti, as you can see in this image, was put in several places around Stellar Blade. It wasn't just on this one wall, and that we have seen several repair shops within the game, so sometimes you're going to get graffiti put in places. And then, of course, in this case, there was the R shop next to it. It wasn't supposed to be, at least in my opinion, from what I believe, some like wildly racist message. But, of course, they decided to latch onto it and say that this was part of environmental microaggressions. I cannot help but laugh in the faces of the idiots who use terms like microaggressions. They say microaggressions are subtle acts of discrimination that occur on an everyday basis. They have no proof that that was put intentionally into the game, that those two things were intentionally put together. Therefore, you can't really say that it was an act of racism, of intentional racism, but they're going to, because it pushes their narrative and they get to write stupid articles like this on it. And, of course, instead of just saying, you know, maybe we should give these developers the benefit of the doubt, they go on to attack them and say that clearly this was, you know, something that bothered people. It really bothered only journos because we found out that this was in the game before it released, before any consumers had their hands on it, and only when the review period was going on, meaning it had to be journalists who complained about it. And we did see a couple of journos on Twitter/X say that they did report it to Sony, but we really don't know who began it. A lot of people do believe it was Lance McDonald, but He says that it was him. There could have been more. Either way, I bet it was a few of them, and they all deserve to be pointed at and laughed at because these people are absolutely ridiculous. And it is sad because we've been supporting Stellar Blade for months at this point. We've all been praising Stellar Blade, and we do now know that there were costumes within the game that were censored. There's a petition with over 50,000 signatures to send over to Sony, hoping that they will revert the censorship and that they will tell ShiftUp, you know what, you can remove the censorship that we made you add. I personally would not be holding my breath for that because we know Sony is very, very censorship heavy. But at the same time, you know, when it comes to this HardR controversy, this graffiti controversy, normal people were not complaining. Normal people were not pointing at ShiftUp going, you guys are terrible, disgusting people. Only the lunatic followers of outlets like Kotaku and Polygon, and of course the Mary Sue, a outlet that of course focuses on feminism, not actually gaming. They don't know anything about video games or about entertainment. They really only cover gaming when there's some controversy going on and they can attack gamers. That's what all of these outlets do. They love to attack gamers. And of course, none of you will be surprised to hear that the Mary Sue has attacked Stellar Blade multiple times over the past couple of months. They recently said Stellar Blade's design isn't the problem, it's how creepy men are being about it, of course, attacking male gamers simply for praising this female character. You would think that as a feminist outlet and you're trying to appeal to feminists, that you would want to highlight the fact that a female-led product was the #1 pre-ordered game in every region, on the PlayStation storefront, on Amazon, that it was getting so much positive attention. But of course, because they believe that her design, Eve's design and Taki's design appeal to the male gaze, which of course is a made-up concept, is bad, they decided to trash this game. I'm sorry, but I think it would be better to highlight the fact that there are millions of men who wanted to play this game because they appreciated how the developers at that point, when this article had came out, were sticking by their creative vision, and of course we're simply trying to give us a really good product. And I've been playing Stellar Blade and I do really think it's a great game, but it is unfortunate that now it is mired in controversy because of censorship, most likely forced upon by Sony, but still censorship nonetheless. Any censorship is too much censorship, and it is disappointing to see the tone surrounding Stellar Blade kind of shift over the past couple of days and weeks since launch. But of course, the Mary Sue has taken every opportunity to attack Stellar Blade and to attack ShiftUp, and that is exactly what they're doing now with the graffiti controversy. I don't think that this is going to stop anytime soon because it is one of the highest rated game releases of 2024. Actually, it is the highest at this point in time, and I do think it has some serious competition like Shadow of the Erdtree, but I think it's going to stay one of the highest rated, if not you know, holding that #1 spot firmly for the rest of the year. And I do think that come Game Awards season, it will get at least some nominations. I don't think that they are going to completely snub this game like they did Hogwarts Legacy. Only time will tell, but of course the Mary Sue is attacking Stellar Blade over the MaleGaze and how they're saying racist messaging was shoved into this title. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.